Kent Reeves here. This is Kent Reeves, expert woodsman and tracker. I have just found some incredible evidence, some very compelling evidence for the existence of the Urban Sasquatch. There is, in fact, an Urban Sasquatch. There's also a theory that the Urban Sasquatch is a slightly different species. This is incredible. This is Kent Reeves, expert woodsman and tracker. Here we are, as you can see, very close to the center of town. I have just found some incredible evidence of the Urban Sasquatch. And as you probably already know, there's many researchers who believe that the population of the Sasquatch is actually quite high, and they're even in urban areas like this. Just their ability to blend in and hide is so refined that they go unseen even in the middle of a small city like that. But I just wanted to show something here. Incredible evidence. And look at that. See those handprints up there in the dust on this overhead door? Those hands from the ground are at least 8-9 feet off the ground. It'd be an incredibly tall person to reach up that high. And if you look at the size of the handprints, they're just huge. It's obviously a Sasquatch. I'm just gonna get a little closer then and put my hand up so you can compare the size and the reach. I am standing on the ground below the door, looking up at these giant handprints, and you can just see by the angle of the camera, this is as high as I can reach, and it's not even up to the lowest handprints. You can see, compared to the size of my hand, just the gigantic size of these hands, much larger than my hand. And the most amazing thing is the reach. There is no way that I could reach up there. So, I mean, you'd have to be, 7 or 8 feet tall at least to be able to reach up there. That has got to be a young Sasquatch. Of course, they get much taller than that. This is incredible. I'm just gonna slowly back off here so you can really get a perspective. Wish I could have someone stand next to that so you could really see how huge those handprints are. As you can see, we're in a urban area, a back alley. As you can see, there are some trees here. There's some woods, and sort of between the alleyway behind these buildings and the little neighborhood up on the bank there, there's a strip of trees and brush, and a perfect place for the Urban Sasquatch to hide right in the middle of town. We're just on the edge of the downtown area. This can also be an area where the Urban Sasquatch could travel through town, especially in the evenings or mornings or night, even in broad daylight, and remain undetected. And it's in these back alleyways like this that it's theorized that the Sasquatch is able to move through these areas and remain hidden much more easy. So is likely sticking to the alleyways and areas behind the buildings, the overgrown abandoned lots and areas like that. They have been seen in downtown areas. So that's the theory, is that they're able to possibly even live in these places undetected. So there you see some prime urban Sasquatch habitat. There's also a theory that the Urban Sasquatch is a slightly different species than the forest or mountain Sasquatch. They're a little bit smaller, probably reaching only 8 to 10 feet tall, whereas the mountain Sasquatch has been reported, 20, even 25 foot tall specimens have been observed. But the Urban Sasquatch is usually reported to be a little bit smaller. As you can see, I'm sitting out here under this beautiful tree, and it might kind of look like I'm out in the countryside, but then, as we move the camera down, and of course you're aware of the sounds of the traffic, and we see that actually I'm in a quite densely populated area with a lot of human activity, and the landscape is extremely affected by humans. You would think not the ideal habitat for the Sasquatch, but the evidence has really been building up that there is in fact an urban Sasquatch population, perhaps a slightly different species. And, you know, the stories are just so consistent. The person telling the story it's usually late at night after the bars close. They're coming home from maybe a late night party or a night of drinking out at the bars. And, you know, they may be, you know, completely intoxicated, drunk, stoned, or even on acid or some other hallucinogenic mushrooms, perhaps. There might even be, you know, cocaine, heroin, or other drugs involved, or a combination of these things. And that's when people see the Sasquatch. And the current theories are that they are nocturnal. And it's amazing because these people may be so intoxicated they don't remember anything else. They don't know how they got home. They will have experienced a blackout typical of these kind of alcoholics and drug abusers, but they'll remember seeing the Sasquatch. I think that's pretty significant. And then there are the stories from people who are not drunk or under the influence of anything, but perfectly sober. And of course, from a scientific viewpoint, those accounts are a little more compelling. But just the consistency of the stories and the numbers, story after story, literally hundreds, if not thousands, of sightings. Just to bring you up to date on the urban Sasquatch research. I just showed you some very compelling evidence for the existence of the urban Sasquatch. And as most of you know, I've been, of course, researching and hunting, tracking Sasquatch out in the wilds. And as an expert woodsman and tracker, you know, that's my domain. And then I started hearing the stories of the urban Sasquatch. And at first I just dismissed it out of hand. But then I just kept hearing story after story. And so now, you know, this is really my first urban Squatch patrol, and already I'm just amazed by the evidence I've come up with. So we're just going to keep searching, and they have been seen in downtown areas, even in broad daylight, but more often late at night. So they may venture into the more exposed areas under the cover of darkness. Kent Reeves here for Squatchnuts, and we'll just keep collecting more evidence here.